Welcome back to Coast Vue. I want to invite my friend Kyle Curley into the conversation for just a second. We're going to be going to Lieutenant Mark Schlom from the Seabee base here in just a second. He's the Gulfport Security Director. Terrific. I look forward to that terrific conversation. But, you know, we learned the last time we had a guest from the Seabee base that Kyle's dad was a Seabee, and that's what brought Kyle to coastal Mississippi. I've interviewed, I can't tell you how many people from the Seabee base, and Kyle did not bring that to my attention until the last guest. How is that possible that we didn't connect on that, Kyle?
I don't really always talk about myself. That's what happened. It was his last station before retirement. He chose Gulfport. We ended up moving to Long Beach in 1976. Still here.
Wow. I mean, where was your dad originally from?
Illinois.
Wow.
About 2 hours west of Chicago, small town, Bureau, Illinois, like population, maybe 400 to 600, depending on which summer you're taking that census.
But you know, you and I've talked about this many times that people come through the Seabee base, they go all over the world, and so many choose to come back to Gulfport to retire. You heard me in my conversation with Leonard Papania. He said the number of people who have come through the Seabee base and now work for the city of Gulfport and really work all over the coast. It's cool that they, one after the other, including your father, choose this as a place to settle in, isn't it?
Yeah. When I hear all the different locations, a couple of that really stick out, Rota, Spain, Guam, Newfoundland. My dad had been all of those places all before I was born.
Yeah.
I have a brother and sister that's 9 and 10 years older than me, so they really got to see the world more than I did. I was born in Okinawa. Don't remember it. Moved from there to Millington and then down here. So I vaguely remember Millington.
I get feedback from people who say they really appreciate us spending time talking about the military as we humanize, the people behind, the uniforms.
Yeah.
And as it relates to the Seabee base, you pointed it out just then. Your dad had been all these key places, but as I always remind people that Seabees are dispatched literally all over the world. Some to places we can talk about, some to places we can't talk about. Some of that's military, some of that's humanitarian. It's incredible, really, when you think about it.
Well, somebody's got to build the camps. Somebody has to build the roads. I mean, most of those soldiers aren't going to do it themselves.
Yeah. But as Leonard Papania said, the Seabee base and the people on the Seabee base are great citizens of Gulfport, and they have a great partnership with the city of Gulfport. We're going to shift gears now, but anyway, thanks for finally bringing that to my attention.
Yeah, no problem.
So let's bring my guest into the conversation. This is Lieutenant Mark Schlom, and he is the Gulfport Security Director. And you think, man, Mark, you think about the responsibilities you have. They're pretty significant because it's a base that has all kinds of requirements from a security point of view. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in just a second. But welcome to Coast Vue, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Happy to be here. Thank you.
So where are you originally from, Mark?
So I grew up in Huntington Beach, California, and it's where I finished up high school. And believe it or not, there was a surf class at 0 period by our football teams and baseball teams that we have here. So I had an opportunity to do that in high school and joined the Navy about a year out. Spent about 9 months working in different shipping, receiving, and wanted to find an opportunity to get some more experience, serve the country, and elected to join the Navy.
Yeah. So prior to you landing here in your current security director role, where all have you been?
So I've been in the Navy for 16 years, and I was enlisted for 10 years before I got my commission back in 2017. All in security force community, we refer to it as Master at Arms or military police. Started off going to Great Lakes, Illinois, where a lot of Navy personnel have their boot camp. Did a follow-on training down in Lackland Air Force Base, which is over in San Antonio, Texas. That's another couple months. And then that was a preparation to get me overseas. My first assignment, which was over in Bahrain in the Middle East. I spent 2 years in the Middle East, forward deployed from there during operational Iraqi freedom and during freedom. That's from 06 to 08. And I got a chance to do a lot of protection operations on board ships and port calls and different ports that we would serve in. So from there, I took went down to San Diego, they sent me back to the Middle East again. So I had a chance to do the same mission, just in a different capacity for there a few months. That was in 2010. Took a weapons station over in Seal Beach, California, and then kind of shifted gears where they sent me to an island called Diego Garcia. And that's in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And actually, that was my first experience working with Seabees out there, because that's when I had an opportunity to put on Chief Petty Officer, and the gentleman I was going through training with was a builder chief. So he taught me some skills and abilities there with woodworking, which I'm a personal fan of as well. And that was a 1 year on a company tour in an island that's about 36 miles long. It's a small community, great opportunity there. Pretty diverse in the community. I've probably been to about 20 different countries in my time in the service. Did a deployment on John C. Stennis. That's a carrier strike group with USS John C. Stennis. That was a more recent deployment I had in 2019. Last port call was in Marseille, France. So
wow. So as you look back,
yeah,
as you look back on the places you've been, what left the most significant lasting memory for you?
So for me, it's the people. I mean, we have such a diverse community of not just personnel throughout the U.S., but we have personnel that are from all different backgrounds, coming from overseas or looking for certain citizenships, or just a really diverse culture. And the passion of serving country, becoming a family, having the training and experience to carry out whatever mission set we have is truly remarkable. I'm not a Seabee myself, but we get to serve with the Seabees here on Gulfport, and it is awesome. It's awesome.
The other thing I would say that I often hear this from folks who have come through the Seabee base, because you've had the opportunity to see the world. The world is really small, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is really dynamic. Have you been through Gulfport before? Is this your first time here?
No, sir. So we checked in a year ago. So next week, or in May, will be my 1 year mark in Gulfport, coming from California. We did a drive across country with the family. I brought my wife, 3 kids here with me as well, and we did the road trip from California all the way down here to Gulfport, and we wanted to experience the culture, the environment. Experience the Southern hospitality, which has been remarkable. I'll say, first off, good food, good people. That was my initial assessment coming here, and we're happy to be here.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, I mean, we hear that all the time. What was your impression of this place before you got here?
We didn't know what to expect coming here down to Mississippi, but we definitely wanted to experience the South. We always hear about the Southern hospitality, and I will say it still holds true. Even till today, food is phenomenal and the people are great.
You mentioned during the conversation about Naval Security Force, and then of course you have anti-terrorism training team as well. But you've really, if you think about what happened on September the 11th and the way the world has changed. The amount of training that you have to participate in to do the role that you have today, man, the world is a different place than it was 30 years ago. And the amount of training that you've been required to participate in, and that the people who report to you participate in, is very significant, isn't it?
Yes, sir. And I lived through that. I'm glad you brought up 9/11, because I was sitting in my classroom with my teacher watching the news when that happened. It definitely resonated with me. And I think that's what pulled me to serve in the country when I, less than a year out of high school. I found it as an opportunity to travel, provide service, and that never went away. So the training experience took very seriously. Going through different opportunities, whether it's with expeditionary or surface forces or working with installation security. When I joined the Navy, I had 5 options, become a mechanic, do supply, engineering, bosun's mate, which is kind of your line handlers that you have on ships. I initially wanted to be a fireman. The Navy, everybody's a fireman. And they had this thing called Master at Arms. Well, that is our equivalent to military, police, and security forces. And in this community, it is so robust. It's very different than your normal law enforcement role. That is a big portion of what we do. But to your point, we do anti-terrorism operations, critical infrastructure protection, securing a port or a pier, to base installation protection. So within our force, and even here in Gulfport, we still have those mission sets that we are responsible to carry out. Here in Gulfport, we are also integrated with the civilian workforce. So inside of our department, it's about 60% civilian police officers and experts that we work with alongside of our uniform members. So it is awesome to have that here, not just in continental United States, but we have that experience overseas as well.
We're having a conversation with Lieutenant Mark Schlom, who is at the Naval Construction Battalion Center, Seabee base here in Gulfport. He's the security director. And as I always find, I mean, there are so many interesting, dynamic people who have been all over the world who can remind us that it is a diverse place we live in. It is, the Southern hospitality is also very nice. We live in a very small world, but they bring such wonderful perspective to coastal Mississippi when they get here. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation in the final segment. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to Coast Vue. We're having a fun conversation. Really, always. I say fun, but it's really very disclosing to get a sense of the kind of people who come to the Seabee base, the Naval Construction Battalion Center in Gulfport. In this case, it's Lieutenant Mark Schlom, who is head of security in Gulfport. And it was interesting to hear, Mark, that you have 60% of your staff is actually civilian. So there's a mingling of civilian and military staff that are involved in the security situation there at the Seabee base. But, you heard me mention at the beginning that there's this terrific relationship between the city of Gulfport and the Seabee base. And in this particular case, the current head of administration for the city of Gulfport is Leonard Papania, and Leonard was the chief of police for the city of Gulfport. And he could not have been more complimentary of the quality of the people who have chosen to retire and stay here and go to work for the city. You actually had an opportunity to do that yourself, didn't you?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So when I was in Steel Beach, California, I was going to get out of the Navy. So I looked at an opportunity to do a military civilian transition program, go temporarily assigned for 6 months to get accredited and what's called post-certified, which is in law enforcement. It's police officers and standards and training, which is a national accreditation at the local academy, which was regional and still is in California. Successfully completed that, but decided to stay Navy after this. And what I found in that academy, because it was so good, was to take the training experience that I learned from our local counterparts at the national level and at the DoD level as well. We are learning to integrate those standards and training into our practices as well. So I decided to stay Navy, and if I can go 30, I'll go 30 years.
Wow, good for you, man. That's awesome. But what it gives you is the opportunity for others who may be under your wing and thinking about getting out, or maybe they've chosen to retire here. You can give them some guidance to say, these are some good career paths for you, and here's how you might do that. And there's a great opportunity out there. I was interested in reading a piece that was written by the Navy Public Affairs there about the Command Access and Readiness Training Program or assessment that you guys did. The CART, y'all call it the CART, back
Sure.
in I think the February, March timeframe. But that this whole notion around readiness. I'm amazed, actually. There probably are some close calls along the way all over the world we never know about, but you never hear. Thank God you never hear about difficult situations becoming too big a challenges for the bases around the world, and that's because you guys are prepared for anything, aren't you?
We are prepared as much as we can be, and we continue to develop and get better every step of the way.
So what's so significant about that CART assessment that you guys do?
So kind of relating to our national standards, it's all about accreditation. So Vice going through a checklist line item and saying this for that, we are looking at an operational readiness and effectiveness. So from my perspective and my focus is to man our personnel to be fully trained and qualified, and to effectively execute a mission in whatever we're presented. That could be natural disasters, or it can be critical infrastructure protection, or critical incident responses. That command assessment and readiness and training is a snapshot in time that gives us an idea of where we are at, where we were headed, and where our areas are to improve. 2 weeks before the event, we worked with Gulfport PD and some other local agencies in an annual exercise that really stressed that operational readiness and communication and how our teams are going to work together. Jurisdictionally, it varies between state, federal, local, but just knowing what to expect from our local partners is very, very important for our team. How we talk to each other, how we respond together, and who's going to take responsibility in different incidences. So with the command assessment, readiness, and training is a higher level review, and we favored very well recently.
Well, it is important, I know, to go through that certification to make sure everybody's on the same page. How do you, from a data, when you're not involved in a detailed assessment about that, how do you stay in sort of a ready mode without having it be so peaked that people get worn out? I mean, how do you make sure that you're not dropping your guard when the sort of, I say ho-hum, but you know what I mean, the routine of the day begins to take hold? And, and as I've talked to many people who are at the Seabee base, it's known actually for having, you pointed that out, that the pace there is not too pushy. It's not too, rah, 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 rah. I got to do something all the time. There's a pace to it that people like. How do you find that sweet spot there from a security point of view?
Yeah, I'll call it plan, do, and review. We continuously have to evaluate. We have to assess where we currently are. Our personnel are phenomenal, and they come to our department with a wealth of experience, and then our junior personnel are learning from those experienced personnel as well. So I'll say take care of the people, which we are very good at doing this from my perspective, and then continuously find ways to innovate, look for other opportunities to train, and then continue a battle rhythm of meeting requirements and having a healthy process in order to do so. So yeah, taking care of the people is very important, and really stressing what the importance of the mission is and getting the understanding of why we are doing what we're doing. And really that's to serve the community and protect our personnel.
Well, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for serving our country. I hope your wife and kids are enjoying it here in coastal Mississippi. And keep up the good work. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, and I hope to speak to you again soon.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity today. Have a great day.
You bet. This has been Lieutenant Mark Schlom, head of security at Seabee Base. I've really enjoyed that conversation. Have a great day, and we will see you on Monday.